Welcome back to Goldenridge. Today we're going to go back and totally change an area I wasn't happy with, finish the city core in Rockwell, and expand to a lakeside town that feels completely different. So let's get to work. So you heard me talk about it last time, and this little area that we're looking at now, I think has a lot of cool aspects, but it's just not feeling right. It feels a little thrown together. It doesn't feel super realistic. It doesn't feel planned out, and I just am not loving it. So I think we're going to revamp this area today, as well as fill out the rest of this town and finally call it a day for this area. So I think the first thing I want to do is bring the train tracks closer together so that they're not so far apart and have them meet earlier, as well as adjust where the road runs into town. I don't like how much this curves. I don't like how windy it is, and I want this to end up coming straight through here and meeting up with this train line a little closer so that they're not so separated the whole way down. So we're going to go ahead and pause the game, get out the bulldozer, and say goodbye to that section. So that's gone. Second thing we're going to do is this road, I think, is the worst part. It's all over the place. So we're going to get rid of that up until about there. And then the other thing I want to do is adjust this train line so that the curve takes place a little lower and this bridge can come straight across. So we're going to get rid of this from there, probably up until, just to be safe, we'll call it all the way to there. So let's just hit play so we can get rid of our floating trains, and into the ground they go. Nothing weird about that. Okay, so I think the first thing we'll do is get this set up better. So I want to, let's see, get our continuous slope. We'll probably start with a bridge, and we should also be in train tracks and not roads. So we'll find our non-electrified track here, and we're going to force a bridge. And I want this, I want this to be straight across. So that makes it a much longer bridge, but I think that's okay. So now we're going to turn it, and we can actually, looks like we can still use this little stretch here, which I think is great. So we can pull this in. I'm going to turn off snapping. Can get this in here, and we'll get this. We don't want to be a bridge, and we also don't want to be going down 4%. So we'll try to get that nice and even, and something like that should be good. And then let's see if we can just line this up back with, if we just kind of do like that, or do we want to kind of bring it into like something more like this? I think that probably is good. And we'll straighten that out and get that actually connected. But already I think that feels a little better. That's a bit of a harsh turn though, I think. So let's see. All right, I'm gonna go back and let's see if we can't smooth, because I think all of this turn is good, but that turn's feeling a little sharp. And obviously that bridge, that is a long bridge. I think we're going to do a little bit of terraforming. I don't want to mess up this creek area too much because I really like it, but I think let's just bring in this part of it a little bit so that it can meet a little sooner, which means it can turn a little sooner. And we'll get a slope going here at about -3%, which is perfect, nice and smooth. And just gonna bring this even a little closer, and we'll pull this bit in so that our creek can still still exist in what feels like a nice wide space. There we go. That way we can bring this in probably even a little more like that. Okay, so let's try this again with our train track. This we want to be forced as a bridge and have it meet right here. We don't want that to be at 6% though. So there we go. And then we can turn this and make it nice and wide, and then turn this back, and I think we'll actually get rid of this again. And oh, we don't want that. We want this to be ground. What is going on with this being kind of weird? All right, let's lower this down. And that's probably going to be an even smoother transition out to this area. So we'll get our slope tool and smooth this out a bit. All right, and now we'll try train track forced to the ground. Nice big wide turn, as well as over here. And that can come in and meet there. Okay, that is feeling way better, and we still get to use some of this. I guess this isn't really a raised bank anymore, so these rock walls don't actually make as much sense. I was hoping we might get to kind of retain using those, but maybe not so much. Oh, damn, we missed that. All right, let's try that for a third time. I think it takes 3 times to do anything in this game. Oh, we were at negative. So many settings, which is great, but it's easy to miss them. All right. So nice big wide turn and connected. There we go. And we do get a little bank here, so we can still use some of these rocks. But yeah, I think that is a much more realistic looking turn here for our train tracks. The whole thing to me just feels a lot more realistic. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, now let's bring our cargo line, or our lumber cargo line, to meet it. So I don't like the idea of having all these multiple bridges, and I actually could have kept this maybe and had it meet there. That is an option, actually. I hadn't thought about that, but I just don't think I think it's too many. A left turn and then a direct right turn just doesn't feel very realistic. Trains tend to just make more sweeping turns, I feel like. So if we bring this, I was kind of thinking something like this, essentially. And obviously that's super janky, but I just want to kind of get a sense of it. I think that does, to me, feel a bit better. I don't like having the double bridges. That doesn't feel awesome, but in lieu of that, it would be making, or if you're going to have 2, I feel like they should be more lined up, but that would be a crazy turn that we're not going to make. So I think we will stick with something like that. I don't know I didn't see what the slope was on that. That's another thing to consider. So let's check. Let's see what the slope was actually looking like on this. 2.4. Okay, that's actually not bad at all. So I think if we try to meet it up here, we can have this track go to there, and that's still not going to be quite. I do really want them to try to meet in a smoother, kind of more like this type of setting. So let's put a bridge in right about here. We want it to be straight. Something like that, I think, will be good. That's still going to make for a crazy turn. Like, that just feels like an insane... Especially for like a heavy freight train, that just feels ridiculous. All right, let's think about this. Okay, that feels a lot better. I think that will work. Well, obviously, we have some landscaping stuff to clean up, but I just think this feels way more realistic. I feel like they're meeting at a more realistic place. The curves and the lines of the roads, the train tracks feel way more intentional, and yeah. That feels much better, and I may even bring this straight off there, just so we're like that, but even maybe not. Either way, I think this is much better. So now for our road, I think so. Part of why I think the road was the thing I actually liked the least about this, but it was the only place for the road to be. I did like that they crossed over each other and stuff, but just not the way that they were doing it. So we'll have our old highway road coming in this way. We'll slope it down to... actually, maybe we can still have it. I was going to have it wrap around and join in here, but maybe we can still have it... Let's see, if we kind of do something like this, maybe we can still have it cross over, although I don't know how it coming down from there might be a lot, but let's try. Let's give it a shot. So force ground, curve, and it's going to turn off snapping so we can get a little more precise, and bring this in here, and then from here we'll switch to forcing a bridge. That it does not seem to be, because we've got a key wall on, and turn our step down so we can get a nice even. It's actually kind of already doing that, and then bring this down kind of like that. 12.2 is probably a little much, so we can adjust that here, because that's really steep, and I don't think a train is going to fit under that. Let's hit play. But that way we're still crossing over, which I like, but I think that this road feels quite a bit better. And that just feels overall, it just feels better, I think. I'm just thinking, let's just see if we were to take this road in more of a this way kind of thing. So from here, we would have it cross there to a bridge. Oh, obviously we're way too high, so we'd have to come down quite a bit. Kind of like that. And then cross over here and kind of into this road. So let's see this train. It's not high enough, but it's actually not as far off as I thought. So that could work. I do like when stuff crosses over each other, but I also want to make sure that things feel as realistic as they can. Okay, so I think I like the bridge right about here, and we've got just enough clearance for the train. So now I'm going to try to work backwards here a little bit. It's going to be a little tight on this turn. Not so bad, I guess. And then we can kind of wrap that around and have that meet up right about there, and we'll get that kind of sorted out. And now the question becomes how to get down to here. So I think what we'll do is we'll bring this up so that we're at the same elevation. Be down a little bit, and I'm gonna kind of wrap this around to this kind of a thing to keep our slope kind of as chill as it can be, and have that come in like that, maybe. Kinda. I think that could use a little smoothing out, but overall, I think that is going to be better. So I'm going to go through here and tighten this stuff up, and then we'll check back in a few. Let's check out our converging trains here. Get rid of some of these floating rocks. Yeah, I think that'll work. All right, we'll be back in a second here. Okay, so one thing I'm noticing right away is that this may be creating a little more train traffic, because there's not as much space for these guys to, well, this one can go, but if anything from over here is trying to get over there, it may be creating, oh my goodness. I don't think there's that much from what I just did. I also did rebuild the lumber line because all the trains were running backwards, and so I just kind of rebuilt, just reran that line. So I think the trains are still probably getting distributed, and there also may be just too many trains. Let's take a look real quick here. Cargo trains. Let's see how many. Yeah, 6 trains. We probably don't need 6 trains. How can I? Or yeah, 7. So we probably just need the 3. So that probably actually is the problem. But overall, I think this feels much better. Obviously, there's still some detailing to do, but Yeah, I think that's feeling good. And a lot of people were calling for that bypass lane, that bypass track. I still don't know exactly where to put that. You know, we could branch it off like this and run it back. That just feels like, I don't know, is that not too crazy of a turn for a freight train? I don't know. I also don't know why all of the trains come into this station and pass over onto this other side of the track instead of just sticking to the correct side. The freight trains I don't think do it, but all of the passenger trains, even though if you look at my passenger lines, you can see that they are on the right side, but all of these trains end up stopping over here. Wow, there's a lot of people in there, and it holds up the line a bit. So I don't quite know why they're doing that, but either way, I think this road system is feeling quite a bit better. So I'm glad we figured that out. So let's also then take a look at what's going on with our factory. So one thing I wanted to do was fill in the area around it here so that our main area in Rockwell we can kind of call done, and then we can move off into some of this kind of more rural, suburban, and farm area offspring of Rockwell, and kind of build it out into a more of a full city rather than just this kind of downtown area. And so I was thinking about what to do and how to kind of detail this up and stuff, and I think that I wanted to put a little bit of old, unused anymore train infrastructure stuff in. So I want to look at some of the tracks here. And I was thinking that basically, so let's say this old train track comes through, and before the whole city was here, this train track may have split off kind of this way and wrapped around into an old kind of train depot that's no longer there, kind of right here. So I was thinking of kind of just having some old lines in this kind of a manner. I just really like that old train line, like kind of train depot look, and we didn't have room for it anywhere else, so I kind of want to build something like that in here, and I think this is a nice place for it. I think it'll add some detail and some history to our old plant here, and get these in here nice and tight. And maybe we'll get, let's see, get one more in here, kind of as a bit of an offshoot that then can connect with this other one, kind of like that, but we'll have to have this guy come out from there. There we go. And yeah, so something like that, and then we'll get this all nice and detailed up. Let's actually bring this one down and have this one connect as well, with a curve though. Let's see, kind of like that. And I guess the only real problem we're gonna have is that I think these not connected things are never gonna go away. Although I don't know why they're not showing up here or here. That's kind of interesting, actually. But yeah, I mean, these are gonna sit on their own, and so that may just, I mean, obviously there's gonna all kinds of icons anyway until you turn the UI off, so that probably doesn't matter. And we still will have forever these things, because every time I try to delete them, the game crashes, so they get to live forever. So I think it'll be fine. All the cinematics are gonna look like this, and there's always icons anyway, you know, more or less. Wow, a lot of people have been dying over there. But yeah, So I think that's off to a good start there. And then let's take this, our main road here should, I wonder if this should be a 4-lane road. We switched it to a 2-lane after this little roundabout, because if this is going to kind of go off, no, I think we'll keep it because we'll end up probably switching to a national road highway. So we'll keep this, and it's all flat up until there, so this can kind of come out like that a bit, and then we can bring some of the roads that probably fed into this old rail yard, kind of like that, and some sort of lake access, not shipping, but boating. This, as we know, this was originally a fishing town that then turned into a lumber and paper mill based area somewhere around probably the turn of the century. So there would be some old kind of dock-like things, or at least early access to Lakeside industries. So let's actually go through and flatten some of this Lakeside out. Just getting this in a bit here. And we're just going to smooth this out a bit, and then we'll figure out exactly what we want to do here. I'm thinking basically farmland and some suburbia and just a lot of single family housing and some strip mall stuff so that they don't have to come all the way into town. The real question is, we do have, I guess the end of the map ends here, so we'll end up putting an outside connection here maybe, although I don't want like outside traffic. I just feel like it's a little weird that these people are so closed off and the only way to get anywhere else would be to go through Rockwell, but we do have this, this old road to get them in. So yeah, I'm not sure about that. I was also looking, we will be developing this side eventually, and I was kind of looking at these mountains, and there are some, let's see, where was it? There was a kind of a natural, is it this one? Somewhere in here I'd found basically a pretty, or it was right here, I think. You could fit in a little mountain road to cross over onto this side. So we'll probably build, and there was another one here, I think it was. Yeah, this one there. So we'll probably get some connector roads eventually when there's stuff over here, so that this highway isn't the only way to get from that side to this side. So that's down the line, though. We'll get there. But for now, I'm going to go in and get this stuff filled out with some detail, and right around here and over on this side. Okay, so we finally have everything filled in, and I think fixing this little area was well worth it. So just taking a quick look at where we were before and where we are now, and I think you can see that this just feels better and the whole town feels complete. And I did end up filling the little area by the highway with a little row house district, which I think makes sense. It could have used to have been more industrial, and they had the people that were working that stuff living right there. So I think that totally makes sense. So here's our little industrial housing area by the train station. Just row houses on alleyways, really narrow, lots of trees, variation, kind of lots of brick, a little bit of mixed in commercial and stuff like that, moving over. And then we filled out this little area with these old converted structures. I think these used to be manufacturing facilities that now have been converted into loft apartments and residential. So we've got a little lawn area with some barbecue stuff and some chairs and places to play, and not necessarily the most ideal location, but some of the bigger buildings on this end of town. And so you certainly get a unique place to live there. And then, just really filled all the rest of this in, which I think feels great. And then over here, you saw that we filled in with this old kind of train yard area that I think is really looking great. And we'll fill out more of this industrial stuff over there. So yeah, from a high level, Rockwell is looking, at least the main area, the main kind of downtown central part of Rockwell is looking great. I think everything is feeling good, and we're going to forego the pass-through train rail. We haven't had any traffic since we built the new tracks and kind of everything, so I think that's all working out. So we're going to let that slide. We've got lots of people moving in to a lot of these new row house district areas, and what we should probably do is get a quick bus stop up here from our train station. We were kind of waiting to do that until we figured out exactly what we were going to do with housing, and now that we've done that, I think it's a good time to get a bus stop in here. So let's just get that in there. And then we don't have local bus lines here, but we will need them because we're going to need buses going out to this area. So let's just start a new line, and we'll also get, I guess, while we're at it, a couple more. So we've got bus, that'll take us down to our main hub, kind of. So we'll have a bit of a loop going through this area, and then let's see, we should probably get some buses out here we've got a lot of housing out here, especially low income housing. So public transportation is going to be really important for that. So we can throw some bus stops here, and then probably somewhere in the middle. So probably somewhere right around here probably works. So we'll get bus lines in, and those will start from our main hub here. And we can get that right into our third spot. So we'll go from there and wrapping around here through there and connecting there. Although that's a bit of an awkward turn. So let's see if we can't drag that into a better there's not really a great option either way, so I think that probably is what we want. Yeah. All right, and then we'll just go back the other way. So starting here, back to our hub there, out here to our other side, connecting there, and back to our bus stop. And then I think we might as well throw another one right here, just because it's already running by this area. We might as well connect it up. And then the last thing I want to do today is, I think just to make it a little easier, we are going to split Rockwell in half. So dividing the people is what we're doing. So I think we'll end up with, I was debating between going east and west Rockwell or new and old Rockwell. So I'm not really sure which one would be new or old necessarily. So I think we'll go with East Rockwell and then West Rockwell. Ooh, not West, just the one, singular. So I think that just makes it a little easier to refer to when we're talking about stuff. And finally today, I just want to look at this little piece of land over here that sits just down the lake from Rockwell. And I wanted to develop a small little kind of fancier residential area. Just kind of a lakeside community that can just kind of live here. So we'll start with getting these off the road. No, by extending this road, because this is the old town road that turns into this highway that kind of leads in. So from there, I want to develop this older road here as a kind of the back way, quote unquote, to get to Rockwell. I know the name of my own towns for sure. And then just kind of run this along the train track here and let that kind of come in, and it can cross over maybe somewhere right about there. And then I just wanted to look at this landscape a bit and see what we have. I don't want to change anything, but I do, or at least nothing drastically, but I do want to make sure that this is going to be easily buildable on. So we will, I think, probably trying to think, do we want to get rid of this little hump here? Maybe not. So I want to make sure this works, but I also want to try to keep it as natural as we can. I mean, that is quite a slope. So, I mean, let's even see, 13% is pretty significant. So I think we are going to have to just flatten this out a bit. And I do want it to be very lakeside. So we're going to take this height, I think, and move all of this down to the riverside. I think lakeside. I think what we might actually do is extend this little landscape so that we can keep a lot of the same kind of topography that we have. Because I want this to be a little bit more than just that. So that's not bad. And considering the trains coming up here, if this is going to be kind of a not a super bougie place, but I mean, it's a lakeside, residential area. I want them to be a little bit farther away, maybe from the train tracks. So we'll just bring this out a bit, enough to kind of give them a bit of a more realistic space. And we'll just smooth this out so that there's, in fact, I'm even going to use the slope tool so that we can have a really nice, smooth kind of, beach area. Because I really want this to be very kind of swim and boaty feeling. So turn that up a bit, and we're just going to smooth this way, 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 way out. And bring that out a bit. And just really, really get this nice and feeling good. So I want to just bring this out a little bit, nothing crazy. Just kind of bow it out a bit so that that's looking pretty good. And now I think we can even smooth this out a bit since we've got a little more space. And we'll get rid, does that look crazy sticking out into the lake? No, I don't think so. We can maybe widen this a bit so that it's not quite pinching so much. And then we can just kind of smooth out this. And I still have to go around this whole lake and kind of fix the banks of it because it's still got this going, this like very aggressive height map situation going on. So yeah, we'll just bring that out. We'll worry about a lot of that later. And I want to keep the cliff, but bring that out. Okay, I think I can smooth that out a bit. There we go. That's looking pretty good. So now let's get some. So we'll get one kind of 2-lane road coming down the middle here, where we'll have just the most basic kind of commercial restaurants and that kind of thing, and then everything else is going to be very straightforward. We're going to use the alleyway, and we're going to do a very simple, straightforward grid. A lot of these types of kind of Lakeside, Lake Tahoe, other type places, they're just very straightforward. So this is kind of what we're going to do here. Make sure we get it kind of right. I don't know why I care so much about it being in the grid. We're not zoning literally ever, but for some reason, just my brain wants all those things to be perfectly, in line. And filter, let's turn off surfaces. We can just grab that stuff and let's just make sure that this is all nice and even. It should be, but just to be sure. Toolbox, object height, and yeah, so that's all good. And then let's look at what we have for housing here. So we're going to go single family. We're going to go all level 5. And I don't think we may not be able to get away with, it looks like we have to flatten out. So we've got all of our roads the same height, but let's make sure all of our ground is at least up until about there. And then, so I don't think we're going to be able to use any of the Chinese pack. It just looks, it's just a little too themed. Might be able to get away with some of these Eastern European ones. We're also going to want to go with larger lots. Those are not very big houses, though. So Southwest for sure, UK, Northeast, maybe Japan, potentially. And let's see if we can switch this to do greater than, at least. I would think there would be that. That's more the house I'm kind of talking about. But so let's actually do greater than level 3 just to give us a bit more options. There is no Northeast, that's right. And actually, before we do any of that, I want to look, because I think that some of the things that I never really used were the beach side stuff that they released. Yeah, these waterfront homes are... Yeah, we might be able to mix some of these in. So, as always, I get a little confused by the scale, so we're going to need a few more cross streets, but not too much. But I do want to... So we'll bring in something kind of like this. And we can bring a few more in like that, kind of just not everywhere, but okay. I'm going to go through and drop in a bunch of homes. And then actually, let's real quick just check our signature buildings. I guess we should do it through Find It since I've used a lot of them already. I just wanted to see if there's any of these kind of mansion homes. The Industry Mogul Mansion is far too big. Oh, this one's nice though. What is this? The Painter's Mansion? That looks like it's a little modern, but that can work. We'll adjust exactly where that sits, but that. Let's see, what does that look like? It's a lot of property. Yeah, rock musician can be out there. And maybe we can get, that was the pop one. Sculptor, that one's also kind of fancy, but you could, sometimes there's some of these fancy spots out there. So that one's even got a court. So, okay, cool. So we'll worry about exactly where those sit. So I think we'll probably just do something simple here rather than try to wrap all around. We're just going to bring these kind of down. I think we'll just make the most sense in this particular case. A trumpet really would work well. I just don't want to do another one. Not because I'm like bored of making them. I just want a little more variety. And I guess in this case, sticking with something way more straightforward is technically has more variety, even if it's kind of boring, but that's okay. We can still make it look good. So we're just going to bring those down, and that is going to be pretty steep though, isn't it? That one's only 3%, so that one is okay. But this other guy over here, that was like, what was that? 8%? It's not the end of the world, but it is pretty steep. Okay, so then let's go ahead and just build this out real quick. Okay, well, we've got a bit of a problem, as you can probably see. Everybody is bypassing the highway to take this little roundabout off-ramp here because I suppose it's shorter as the crow flies, but obviously nobody would ever do that. So the roundabout may not work because I can't eliminate right turns here, or these people will never be able to use it. So that's kind of a bummer, because I think it looks really cool. But clearly it is not working out super well. So let's just get that all heightened up there. Otherwise, everything else is good. This is a bit steep, but I think it's fine. So we will get our train track back to the right height, and let's get a bridge on that and find our train track here and just can I just double click? Is that going to do enough? I know that works to add. Oh, it does. Okay, I don't need to do this anymore. So replace train, track, bridge segment. And then let's see if I don't want to, whoops. Train, track. Okay. Why is it on convert when I'm not really trying to swap everything? That's very interesting, but okay, let's try this again. There we go. Boom. All right, and then get our 2-lane highway in. And not on a bridge. And let's just redraw this a little bit. And just kind of bring that right in like that. Okay, I think, oh, and then as far as this other road here goes, oh, the trains slow down for that, I guess. I actually want to bring that underneath anyway. So let's go ahead and also make this a train bridge section. So if we double click there and double click there, will that work? No. Okay. So we will just build another. It's so weird how it converts it even after the fact that I didn't want that converted. But mods are mods, and mods be glitching, I guess. So now that kind of does it what I want. But I want this to be ground, and I want this to be a bridge. There we go. Oof. All right. I think we got there. That train had a rough go going over that. And then part of me almost wonders if we shouldn't put this bridge in because or this little road in, because I'm worried that everyone's going to take it and it's going to create crazy traffic, even though most people would probably hop on the highway. I think it makes sense that there is a little frontage road because there often are. Frontage roads are a thing that I feel like this game doesn't fully comprehend, because they're there, like you'll see everybody using them in ways that, like instead of a highway, even though in most cases people would just hop on a highway. So oh well, but I do want to put this one in regardless. All right. Anyway, think we are looking good. That is the wrong road, and it's got the wrong things. And yeah, great. I'll get that in. Okay, cool. I think this little neighborhood's looking good, and we'll get it detailed up eventually. But yeah, I think Rockwell is really, really coming along great. I think it's got a great mix of industry and old towns and some new stuff and some tourism going on. And yeah, I'm just feeling a lot better about this area. Still needs a little bit more kind of detailing and cleaning up, but overall it's looking pretty good. So thanks everyone so much for watching, and appreciate all the comments and everything. You guys have been really awesome and appreciate all the support. So we will keep it going next time, and I'm still trying to figure out what we're going to do next time, but we may expand a little bit out onto here, and yeah, and I'm not sure. There's also some areas kind of over here in this part of the map that we haven't really explored much, so we may move over there, and then time to start thinking, maybe about inching our way over to the west, to the more California side. So we've got kind of this open area, this kind of flat, not rural, but more spread out area that might be a little more of a Southern California kind of thing. Kind of we've got the Southwest pack, which we could really dive into here, as long as just kind of some highway stuff, malls and suburbs and big industry and all that stuff. And then we'll have a bit more of a northern West Coast city here, kind of a San Francisco, Seattle, Portland thing going on. So start thinking about any ideas you have for that. I'd love to hear it. You guys have been super helpful. We will get rid of this insane kind of Florida looking highway thing. So we'll get rid of that. And then the other thing we'll have to do is fix, where is it? This just like real CS1 console no mod looking type of road that, yeah, we're going to have to do something about. So yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. And we'll see you next time. Bye.